Hey everybody, it's Kate, the West Coast Paper Crafter, and if you are tuning in, you are catching Project 2 for my Happiest Day free card class online. So Project 2, we're going to use the Dragonfly stamps and the You're the Best sentiment, and this card is going to be in some pretty blues. So let's flip the camera around and we will get started with this project. I'm just going to adjust so you can see my workstation. And then I'm just going to adjust my laptop so I can see what I'm doing as well and make sure that my hands are always in camera view. And that just takes a second for my laptop to catch up to my iPhone. Okay, so this card will be using Summer Splash and Coastal Cabana and some very pretty designer series paper from, what is it called? Unbounded Beauty. All right, so I'm just gonna put this aside and we'll go through all the card pieces. So if you were my customer in July, then you will have all these pieces. They may not have arrived in the mail yet with snail mail, but hopefully soon if they haven't yet, and you don't have to do any of the prep work. All right, so to start out, I've got a Summer Splash card base. This is 5.5 by 8. It's scored at 4 1/4 on the 8-inch side. I've got a piece of basic white. This is 5 1/4 by 4, and this is for the inside of the card. I've got a Coastal Cabana layer, 4 5/8 by 4 1/8, and then a piece of the designer series paper that's 4.5 by 4. I've got a little bit of white for stamping. I've got some Summer Splash ribbon, and I've cut out 2 circles with the Spotlight on Nature dies. And I don't know if I have the dimensions of these circles to tell you if you don't happen to have this die set. So any circle die will work for the sentiment, and if you don't have circle dies, then you can just cut out a piece of cardstock, any shape you like, and use that for your sentiment. All right, so we'll start out with stamping our dragonflies. And there is a little bit of fussy cutting with this card. So I want 3 dragonflies. So I'm going to stamp the outline in black. And then I'm going to color in the wings. And I'm going to do those in 2 colors. So I've got Summer Splash and Coastal Cabana. And I'm going to start with the big wings first. All right, so this is Summer Splash, and I'm going to I need to get my head a little bit over the stamp so I can line it up properly. Almost. I'll try to get this more aligned on this one. I'm just a little bit off. So sometimes when that happens, you can just go over it again. I'm going to stamp off a little so it's not so dark, and try to get in those pieces that you missed. Okay, that's good enough. Not bad. And then I'm going to, just to make these dragonflies slightly different, I'm going to do 1 dragonfly with the bottom wings in Summer Splash. Now, if you don't have 2 shades of this kind of greeny blue, then you can just do 2nd generation stamping to create different colors with the wings. If you're not sure what I mean by 2nd generation stamping, that is when you ink up your stamp it off on a scrap piece of paper, and then stamp your image, and your end result is just a lighter shade. Okay, so now I've got Coastal Cabana, and I'm going to fill in the rest of these dragonflies. And before I forget, because I might do that, I'm going to grab our card base and grab the Summer Splash ink pad again. And I've got this texture die that kind of reminds me of almost like fairy dust. I'm just going to stamp that in the top left corner of my card front, and I'm going to do the same thing in the bottom right corner, just for a little bit of texture. And I think I'll also add that to the basic white inside layer piece. All right, I'm going to close up the stamp pad, and I'm going to get these out of the way. And I'm going to fussy cut out these dragonflies. So this is the part of this project that's probably the most time consuming, but they're not too bad to cut out. Just a little tip for fussy cutting. It works a little bit easier with two things. Small scissors. I love and recommend the paper snips from Stampin' Up, but I'm sure you can get all sorts of small crafting scissors at a local craft store. So that's my first tip when it comes to fussy cutting, is having small scissors. And my second tip is moving the paper instead of moving your scissors when you're cutting. And for me, that just seems to make my cuts a little smoother. All right, there's one. So you can see, if you can see what I'm doing, I'm just kind of twisting that paper along as I am pushing down on my scissor blades. All right, number 2 is almost done. I suppose if you're not crafting along with me right now, it must be a little bit dull to be watching me cut out 3 dragonflies. So you might want to fast forward if you're not crafting along. But if you're crafting along, if I am going faster than you are, then just pause me. All right, I'm just going to round off the bottom of that dragonfly. There we go. Should do that with this one too. I don't like straight edges. Okay, last one. Almost done fussy cutting. Now once you get the fussy cutting out of the way, this card comes together really quickly. All right, coming up to the home stretch of fussy cutting. There we go. Okay. Now for the fun part, putting everything together. So we're going to take our piece of designer series paper and we're going to layer that onto the coastal Cabana layer. Oops, 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 oops. I just made a mess, so let me clean up that before we get any further. Otherwise, I'm going to have glue everywhere. All right, now I'm just layering this right onto the coastal Cabana. And you'll have about 1/16 of a border. Then I'm going to take a piece of Summer Splash ribbon and I'm going to add it to the left edge. Okay, so I like to add to my ribbon using a bit of tear and tape. So I'm going to put some tear and tape on the back side where I think I want my ribbon to go. And then I'm just going to pull the backing off this tear and tape. I'm going to start by taking one piece of the ribbon and just sticking it into that tear and tape, folding it over the front of my layer, and making sure I've got it as straight as possible, and then just folding back over the other side of the tear and tape. So that looks pretty straight to me. It's pretty easy if you don't have it straight enough to just pull this gently off the tear and tape and realign it, but that looks good. So this is going to be glued to the front of our card base. I'm going to glue it, but you can choose to pop it up with dimensionals if you like. I'm going to pop up the sentiment and the dragonfly. So I want this to fit nicely in an envelope, so I'm not going to add any more dimension. All right. So there's going to be more of a border at the top and bottom of this card, and about 1/8 of a border on the sides. I'm just going to add a little bit of pressure so that glue sticks down. And then I've got a smaller piece of the Summer Splash ribbon. I'm just going to thread that underneath the first ribbon, and I'm going to tie it just in a knot. Just like so. And then I'm just going to trim this ribbon so it's not too long. Perfect. Okay. So that's that for the front of the card. And now we've got our sentiment piece. So I am, oops, sorry, that was really loud. I'm using You're the Best. I'm going to stamp that with Summer Splash on my white circle. And then I'm going to glue this white circle onto my Coastal Cabana circle. Okay, just like so. All right, now I'm going to take some dimensionals and pop up this circle piece on the card front. I'm going to put it just at a slight angle. And then I'm going to pop these dragonflies up. Now, a mini dimensional will fit perfectly in the middle of these dragonflies. If you don't have a mini dimensional, then you can just cut up your dimensionals and make them fit. Okay. Here we go. I'm going to put one here, another one sort of in the middle at a different angle, and then I'll do one in the top right corner. So the reason I only used one mini dimensional in the body of these dragonflies is because I wanted to just bend up their wings a little bit and give them a bit more dimension on the card. Now, I know they're probably going to get smooshed down if you stick this card in an envelope, but I just love how it looks when these wings are popped up a little bit. Okay, we're almost done this card. I'm going to add my inside layer. Just going to scribble some glue on that. And add this piece. Okay, Now the last thing I want to do to finish this card is add a little bit of bling. And I'm going to add some of the Summer Splash in color shimmer dots. I'll put that right there, and one more. Maybe right here. Actually, I think I need a little bit more bling on this card. I usually only go with 3, but something isn't looking right. And I think it's because when I added this shimmer gem to the designer series paper, it just blends in so well you can't see it. But because I'm a creature of habit and I like to add things in odd numbers, I need one more shimmer gem. So I've got an odd number. Anyway, all right, there's card project number 2 with the dragonflies. I hope you like this project. If you make this card, post a picture in the comments. I would love to see what you make. All right, that's it for this card, and I'm going to end this video now. Thanks for tuning in.